Dave Grohl's my idol.
Okay.
He's the only drummer that made it as a frontman for a rock band. Okay. SPQR is my photography idol. I wish that everything that I do could be up to SPQR Photography's quality and was it name brand. And I hope that Angelo knows that he is my number one inspiration.
Angelo, we're live. Okay. Hi guys. Yeah, that's
Clip that shit. Clip that shit now.
that's like on the air forever. We're live officially. I guess that's our introduction for today.
There's no light. What the hell, dude?
Well, thank you SPQR Photography for everything you've done for society as a whole, really.
Okay. Okay, joking aside.
No, we're joking. We're done joking forever now. Hi, my name is Shelby McWeeb, and you are watching the brand new video segment, Should I Go To, which is featuring whatever, who cares. Anyway, this is Ray, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi. My name is Ray. I go by Rem Create Photography. I take picture of cosplayers. I'm a cosplay photographer. And yeah, I travel the country and do artsy photos for cosplayers and people in general.
So roughly how many conventions do you think that you've been to?
Roughly, if we're talking about events in general, probably above 40. If we're talking about conventions, at least over 20.
Oh, wow.
I've done a lot.
Before we go any further, do you have any favorite anime or like any recent anime news that you'd be happy to talk about here? Or do you just want to talk about photography?
Typically speaking, like, what is it? I'm just really stoked that Chiafulu season 3 is out. Like, like I've waited 6 years, for Chiafulu season 3. So, if you haven't checked out that series, it's really well written. I highly suggest it. And if you ever see me and want to nerd out about Chiafulu, I have nothing but nerd out moments. So.
Good. Oh wait, one thing I forgot to tell you before we started. If you hit the table, it makes a noise. So keep your hands here.
Okay.
Thanks, America, for being here and watching us on Bombshell Media with me, Shelby McWeeb. I love you. I'm talking into the mic, right? Right, guys. Thank you. All right. So essentially, now we're even closer than we were before. Okay. So I'm really excited for Ray Zero season 2. That's going to happen soon. That's like, that was always kind of announced, but now it's officially like we have more information on it. So I'm excited about that. Do you have a best girl?
Which is pretty funny because I go by Rem Create, so everyone thinks I'm a big ReZero fan. I've only seen one episode, and it's when that blue hair gets wrecked over like 10 times over by that creepy dude. That's the only episode I've ever watched of ReZero. So to give you context,
I have a Ray Zero backpack, and I went out to eat with somebody, and they were like, he's like, oh, cool backpack. And I said, oh yeah, it's Rem. And he's like, oh, I love that guy. And I was like, what? What? So
I love you, Luke. I love you.
speaking of love, what do you love about going to conventions and traveling conventions?
It's like, because like the first time you go there, it's like it's wonderful seeing like people that like the similar things that you like in one area. Because like largely throughout life, you sort of like repress that side of you. Like I call it, for lack of better words, it's called being a high functioning weeb, where you sort of just like hide the fact you're a weeb in front of other people because it's not socially acceptable. Conventions, you let go of that and you just go full weeb, and you have fun. As the years go on, and with the conventions, it's one of those things where I like walking down the hallways and listening to like new kids go like, oh my gosh, this is great. And like the jaded folk that have been to conventions go like, you know what? 2013 was like the best year for this convention. So many regulations. It's like it's now it's like one of those things where you start hearing like different views and they all collide in one area, and I think that's the beauty of convention.
That was beautiful, right? Okay, so what is one convention that we would like to talk about this week?
I'm here to talk about SoccerCon.
We're here to talk about SoccerCon. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Garugamesh. We did it. We have a lot of heart in that one.
Which, by the way, if SoccerCon, if you're watching this and you do a panel where you get all the actors from that ad come together and reunite, and like and it's like how are they now? If you do that panel, I will fly and sit in that panel for just to hear the stories.
I'm sure everybody would. I tried to find the Garugamesh guy like online just to find out what he's doing, and people have like tried to track him down. They found him in like one like indie, very, 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 very indie movie once in like a clip, but no one has found them since. So if you're watching, anybody, please come forward, please.
Like, was he like in Blair Witch 6 or something?
No, it was just like I think it was like a student film or something.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're talking about SoccerCon.
Okay, so I'd like to do some rapid fire just about if you want to go to SoccerCon, you can look on the website, but as two people who attended SoccerCon, we can tell you in person what exactly there is there, so you can hype yourself up to go, basically. So how much is parking?
Parking is around $15 to $30 a day.
All right, and then so that's sorry, I took a second. I'm back now. Okay, so so for hoteling, everything like that, how easy is it, or how easy is it to book a hotel or an Airbnb for this convention?
It's fairly easy. It's not as brutal as like say Colossal Con or AX where hotels near the convention sell out quick. You could actually book a hotel like probably like a week before that's relatively close to the convention, and like and it's in downtown, so like you have easy ways for public transportation to get there. Typically speaking for me, since I travel up there, the cool thing that I find really cool is that the train goes from the airport to the downtown, so you can actually hit the hotels and the convention center via public transport, and I think it was like $5 for taking the train, easier than like a $40 Uber.
So rapid fire for those listening, parking is $15 to $30 a day. Public transportation is cheap and easy and goes almost directly to the convention center. And hoteling is the Sheraton is actually across the street. That's the closest, but you can pretty much rent anything in that area for around $100 to $180-ish per night for a 1-bedroom. So that's 1 bedroom. There are plenty of apartments in the nearby area, so you can find an Airbnb really easy in walking distance, and those are around the same price. So if you want to just, so if we're going to talk about this, if you want to say as much as you want about anything, go for it, and then I'll just recap it. Okay.
So things that I love about SoccerCon, just going in general. I'm most saying that Anime Impulse is in SoCal. If you're traveling from SoCal to Seattle is not that bad at all. You could actually find tickets to Seattle like in between the $100 to $200 range round trip, which is like amazing. Like I think Alaska Airlines from Ontario, because I to Seattle was $179 round trip. So plane tickets, the logistically speaking, going from SoCal to Seattle, amazing. And speaking on the photography end, it's one of those things where for me going to the convention, Seattle's known to be overcast and meaning soft light everywhere, meaning it is easy mode. The only time it gets hard is when it rains. But then like if most of the times when I went up there, I've only been to SoccerCon 2019 and 2017. Just by the way, 2017. Shout out to Hermes. Hermsar. We went
He's
up there.
also on YouTube.
That's
where he lives.
Both me and him went up to Seattle with knowing no one, and we made it happen.
He was on my plane, and he didn't record me sleeping, so I owe him my life.
You could have sold that on like I don't know
On my Patreon,
on our Patreon or on the dark side of the web, wherever you wanted to find it. But if anything, the
soft light side of the web.
soft light side of the web, the wholesome side.
So can you define that comment? So what does soft light mean as a photographer?
So it's basically soft light is when light is diffused and hitting the subject like very, because like harsh light is like direct sunlight. It's harsh, it's brutal. Like some people can deal with it. There's like basically for portrait photography, soft light is the way you would want to light a subject. And when it comes to it, if you can get soft light without using your own personal lights, that's a godsend. It's beautiful. But like typically speaking,
that's really great information for people who like to take selfies a lot, because they don't have to learn lighting at all. Just wait for that soft light to come in.
Yeah, like
break out your beauty cam. Let's go.
If you want to take a selfie at round one, if you go to like the crane machines, that's soft light for days. So you could check that out. But
that's good.
But other than that,
I'm just gonna write that down.
But other than that, when it comes down to it, the shooting at conventions, like they don't make convention centers for photographers. They make it for people to congregate. So it's one of those things where if you go to a convention center, it's usually really, really terrible to shoot. LA Convention Center, if you have nobody there, it's scenic. But if you have massive amounts of people, it's hard as hell to shoot there. But when it comes to SoccerCon, there is legitimately at least 15 different places within walking distance of the con to shoot, and it's nice. It's really like it's scenic. There's actually there's like these urban steps that are like super like they look dangerous, but then it's like a parkour person jump over. But then doing pictures there is actually pretty fun. So it's one of those things where you get a good variety of locations. And
so some of those locations are like the photographer's alley.
Yeah.
They call it the photographer's alley. And then there's a lot of outside locations that are actually really scenic, like cities and like nature. Like there's a bridge and a couple benches and like some like foresty scenery and everything.
So and it's one of those things where like there is a gazebo outside of the con. Typically speaking, when it comes down to it, you can. So another unique feature of the convention center is that the convention center is 6 stories high. So like you have 6 different levels. The convention is not like spread out amongst all 6 levels, but when it comes to like navigating the convention center, it's not just like one flat level or like 2 levels. It's 6 levels. It's pretty fun. And like it's one of those things where you can find different locations to shoot. There's actually a park outside too, so it's like it's
also right in downtown Seattle, so there's a bunch of cityscape shots you can take. That's what I did.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. There's actually like a blue awning at Hotel 8 that like if you get harsh light, you could actually like get like a nice blue gel light there. Really random, but really cool.
Okay. So rapid fire. If you're going for cosplay photography, it is a great location. There's plenty of cityscape scenes. There's plenty of forest nature scenes. There's plenty of you can shoot you can shoot inside because there's plenty of soft lighting. There's an area called Photographer's Alley where all the photographers hang out. It's famous for that. And there's a lot of really great places to take good quality pictures because the lighting is really good unless it's raining.
Yeah. So, in general, the one of the coolest things about SoccerCon that I always enjoy is that it's a 24-hour con. Mm-hmm. From Friday to Sunday, that convention center doesn't close. One of my favorite places to go to is that there's a mahjong room that like after I'm done shooting and I just want to like kick back and relax, I would go to the mahjong room And if you're waiting for a table, they play like Saki and Kaji, like the two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the two mahjong animes as you wait. So
I love that.
So like, I like they also play like replays of like the past like mahjong tournaments that they held.
Did they play Yurlai in April?
No.
Oh.
There's no mahjong in there. Like...
So wait, yeah, he's not mahjong, but he's a shogi player.
He's a shogi player, but shogi and mahjong are like two different games.
Forget I said that.
But I think it's. But wait, Yurlai April. He's not. Okay. But other than that, it's
no, not Yurlai in April. March comes in like a lion.
Yeah, March comes in like a lion, which is also a really good anime, by the way.
I just like crying.
All right, so another cool facet of SoccerCon, just to give you a heads up, is that SoccerCon always happens on Easter weekend in April.
Also, sometimes 420.
Yeah, sometimes 420. So for all that fun stuff. So when it comes down to it, like if you're the caveat about going to SoccerCon is that it is Easter weekend. So if you have family time and like that's indispensable, then you obviously. But it's one of those things where during Easter, it's actually cheaper to get like hotels and such at Seattle.
Yeah.
I think I had an Airbnb in Seattle for like $430 for the weekend, and it had a kitchen. It was crazy.
Oh wow!
Like I had my own room. It was great. But it's like it's one of those things where like logistically speaking, like to do the convention for as a Southern Californianer, Airbnb and airfare is fairly cheap. Was it? You have 24 hours of the con, so you don't have to worry about like doors closing on you. Like exhibit hall closes at like what, like there's so many, like there's the arcade, the mahjong room, there's a manga room there that's open 24/7. You could like go and read manga like at 3 a.m.
That's my me time.
Yeah.
Yeah, manga rooms are always my me time.
And like, if you're the loud person in the manga room, you're a jerk. Like you're.
Well, don't be a loud person. Why would you go there to be loud? You are a jerk if you're going to be loud. And if you're watching this, you are definitely a jerk for being loud in the manga room. You have 6 floors of conventions for that. Okay, so as a cosplayer, do you feel it's like accessible for cosplaying?
Oh yeah, no, it's very accessible. Like, as far as cosplayers in Seattle, there's a bustling scene up there. There's more people, more open to going to SoccerCon, so you get some really high level crafting. Shout out to my buddy Diego, Gator 007. He does a fantastic Gray Fox, and he's Seattle based. So like, what was it? He always comes out, and like because he's there, a lot of people in the scene started crafting at a high level because he always like likes to like help out if people ask how he made a certain so Diego's been great.
Would you call the community like modest up there? Because I know that Southern California itself is very, very like strongly driven, but I know that I love people who cosplay in the Pacific Northwest region.
Yeah,
it's Pacific Northwest. I love people who cosplay there. Would you feel the cosplay community is modest since you've worked so heavily with them you've shot with a lot of them?
Yeah, no, like as far as anything goes, like we have like a scene down here for sure, but like it's like the Pacific Northwest is very, very like it's fun, it's cool. Like was it as far as some of the people I enjoy most working with, my homegirl Casey, shout out to you, Casey.
Love you.
What is it? Jasana, like they're all like great people, and like you run into some really chill individuals in the Pacific Northwest. Some of them are from Portland, and like there's great anime fans when you have like a city that their slogan is "Keep Portland Weird," like
yeah,
all anime nerds are weird, but yeah, SoccerCon, like the Pacific Northwest scene is great.
Okay, so rapid fire. The cosplay scene in the Pacific Northwest is pretty modest but really fun. It is very accessible convention for cosplayers. There are a lot of stairs, so keep that in mind because the convention is on a bunch of different levels. So be careful of long dresses and big props if you get tired of carrying them up a lot of stairs.
Also, like the fun thing about SoccerCon is that when you get into the convention center, there's one huge escalator, and like it's like a series of escalators where like it takes you all the way up to like floor 4.
Yeah.
And that's where like so like the bottom floor is like a street level, and then like you go up to the 4th floor, and that's where you could go to the park. And then there's another escalator that goes up to like the 6th level where you find like the the arcade and like the movie rooms.
Gaming.
As far as
I was up there, and I was with my friend Franco, and we walked in, and I just yelled gaming in the same inflection, and everyone knew exactly what I meant.
Shout out to Franco.
Shout out to Franco.
But legitimately speaking, when it comes to this convention, it's in my top 3 to suggest if you want to go to like an out-of-state con. It harkens like the 24-hour opening. It harkens back to like the old times when like Anime Expo was 24/7.
Oh wow!
Not many people remember that. Like
I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, like Anime Expo was like 24/7 before like they moved to they moved to LA. So like it reminds me of like 2007, 2000, and like it's one of those things where like it's still like it's still a community driven con. There's a lot of guests, but at the same time, like when you get to the con, you have this like this feeling that the community is still here and it's still strong. What was it? And that's the thing that I enjoy most. Like, been going to cons is that like not if like if industry's there, it's more of like are the people there, and are they still enjoying it for what it is? And generally speaking, like most people,
That's really great. I'm gonna keep on talking about it because I have a whole spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So
speak on it.
Yeah. In terms of just things that I look for in a convention, I'm gonna talk about a couple of things. Like I think the food is a cool thing we can talk about too, and I think I'm gonna touch on that later because I'm gonna talk about a couple things I think is really cool, and then we'll kind of like cipher off on the food and everything like that. So the convention? Okay. So the conventions I would compare Sakura Con to would be Anime Boston and Fanime.
Oh, that's fair. That's totally fair. What makes it similar to Anime Boston in your head?
Anime Boston has a lot of really cool industry guests, a lot of really cool international concert, a lot of really fun things to do. But the community, I grew up in the East Coast, so I think that the community in the Pacific East Coast is very similar to the Pacific Northeast is very similar to the Pacific Northwest. It's pretty identical, honestly. So I feel like they're pretty similar.
Okay, and speak on your on the Fanime person.
Fanime is a very big community-driven convention, and it's a pretty good size convention, but it's also fairly community-driven.
Yeah, and if I were to if for people that have been to Fanime but not to Sakura, just imagine those like those 2 huge parks on the opposite sides of the convention center, but like they're like you when you step out the door, it's a park. Like you don't have to go through another street. As soon as you head out the doors, there's huge sprawling park that you could go up and down. And yeah, that and it's like sort of like thing if you're familiar with anime and want to check out something else.
Absolutely. It's also so rapid fire again. Sakura Con is a 24-hour con, and it is completely bustling all 24 hours. And the attendance for Sakura Con in 2016 was 23,000. So they're pretty fair size con. They're pretty similar in size and everything. Fanime, Anime Boston, Sakura Con, however, similar size to them. So the badge prices for Sakura Con are $80 at the door and $50 at the start of pre-registration. So it's a pretty. I don't know.
Is that on the website or?
Yeah, that's on the website.
Oh wow, it's still 80. Sweet.
Yeah.
Because like right now it's like 2020 prices like people were like, "Oh my gosh, anime conventions, we're gonna crank up the prices to like 85, like pre-reg."
So yeah, honestly, so if we're talking about that, I'm gonna start the intermission right now. I'm gonna say hi to everyone in the chat, which is Ivory, Richie, Peter, everybody else.
There's a chat.
There's a chat. Yeah, there's a chat.
Oh, sick.
So I want to say hi to all those people. Winston, all you people. Angelo, shout out to Angelo. We'll always respect and love you. But one thing I want to do is if you want to go to a very good, reasonably priced convention with a lot to do and a lot of fun, check out Anime Impulse. We are at Anime Impulse Studio. They're really cool. It's one of the most stylish conventions I've ever been to in my entire life, and I've been to a lot of conventions. I am really excited. That is going to be January 18th and the 19th. It's going to be bigger, better than ever. Just never stops being amazing. We literally can't stop them.
And fun fact, I actually started my cosplay photography career at Impulse, and like every Impulse is like my conversary of like when I started doing this. So like I always like have such a high regard for Anime Impulse, for essentially starting my career, which is awesome. Shout out to Impulse.
We love you, Anime Impulse. Never stop. So yeah, January 18th, 19th, go to Anime Impulse. They have a bunch of cool guests, and yeah, more on that forever because we'll never stop talking about Anime Impulse. But yeah, so we're gonna go back to so here's something I want to ask you about is the food in Seattle.
Okay, so there is my general suggestion, and that's if you go to Seattle and you like clam chowder, Seattle clam chowder is probably like my favorite clam chowder. Pike Place chowder down next to, guess what? Pike Place Market. they have an amazing clam chowder down there. What is it? If you're from New England and are used to like New England clam chowder, you can check out Seattle's clam chowder. Quick thing, like when I went there, I got done with doing photo shoots around like 9 o'clock. So when I got to my hotel, it was like 9:30. So I went on Yelp to find like a place that was open. Down the street, like across the street from my hotel, next to Pike Place Market, was a place called the Pink Door. It is a very hole in the wall Italian eatery that's open until like 1 o'clock in the morning. But like it was amazing food, amazing pasta, and like that was open until 1. So like if you have like a budget and want to eat somewhere fancy like late at night, Pink Door, that's probably like the one thing that I enjoyed the most. And we ate sushi out there too.
We ate sushi.
Like,
I love sushi. I love sushi. Then we said that, and then we both wanted to die after we. But the sushi was good.
Yeah. We had a couple of Seattle folk look at us like we were aliens, and it reminded me.
I love sushi. Oh wow, they had sushi for the first time here. We're so cool, Seattle. Yeah.
It reminds me that because it's still 2019. But other than that, food is great. Seattle has a bustling food scene that you can check out. Very interesting, very fun, very good.
So rapid fire food. Food at SakuraCon is there is food in the convention, there's food right outside the convention, there's food in walking distance from the convention, but in general it's in downtown Seattle, one of the best culinary cities in the US. So you're going to pay anywhere from around like $20 a meal, I think.
Well, that's on the high end. Like you could.
Wait, sorry. You're gonna pay around. You're gonna. Sorry, I'm gonna just finish this, and then we can talk about it. You're gonna pay around like $15 to $25 for a meal around the convention, and then you can pay more in some of the other nice eateries around the area.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, if anything,
we're gonna talk about stuff in the area.
Okay.
Like tourist stuff.
Okay.
And then events, and then the last one is going to be events and things to do at the convention, like industry and all that stuff.
Okay, so one cool thing that you can do at SakuraCon, it's during April. There is actually a very beautiful sakura bloom that happens in Seattle. If you go the same train that takes you from the airport to the convention center, it could actually take you to Washington State, and then there you could there's actually a nice library. There is a beautiful sakura bloom that happens around the same time that SakuraCon happens. So if you ever get a chance, that's something that you can do. I know, shout out to Soju Beats, like him and Adorables, I believe. They did a couple sets in and around Washington State during the library. If you want to check out some really good photos and really good video of that, Adorables and Soju Beats did an amazing job over there. I think they did what was it? The Bunny Girl.
The Rascal Dreams of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah, that anime.
That's a good anime.
Shout out to Misotoki.
Shout out to Aniplex.
Yes, Shoju Beats did an amazing, an amazing Bunny Girl concept at that library in Washington State. So if you want to go check that out, that's actually really cool.
So so to recap, there's plenty to do in. There is plenty to do in downtown Seattle during SakuraCon. There's a sakura bloom not too far by that's happening right around that time. So it's a very beautiful things you can do with the scenery and everything like that. And the convention is actually right near Pike's Place Market, which has a bunch of food, a bunch of cool things, and it's one of the biggest tourist attractions in all of Washington State. So you are in luck if you want to see Seattle while you're at SakuraCon.
Yeah.
That's that's how you do it with words.
Post recap. Yeah.
I work in a lot of commercials, so I'm like so used to watching people be like, so that's my life story. Anyway, speaking of so there was a lot of really fun stuff that I did at Pike's Place Pier, Pike's Place Market. Hermsar asked me to eat gum off the wall.
There's a gum wall there. The gum wall is a tourist attraction you could go. It's it could either be something that you appreciate the modern art that is the gum wall, or it could be absolutely horrified. I
was both.
Yeah, either or is a valid reaction to that wall.
Ivory in the comments says Anime Impulse has good food. You're correct. Keep it up. Keep complimenting Anime Impulse in the chat, in the comment section. I will not stop you. Speaking of commenting, keep on commenting, liking, subscribing. We're here for you, fam.
Also, I put my hands on this so I have something to hold on to. You're
so excited about SakuraCon.
Let me tell you about SakuraCon. All right. No, but
smile, DK.
My soul. It hurts.
It hurts. But you get to do a lot of cool touristy stuff in Seattle, right?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's well it's in the same vein as Katsucon, where I go 2 days earlier and do my tourist stuff before the con, because I know when I'm at con I'm constantly shooting. So but it's, and you go there, you enjoy the scenery, the change of pace, the fact that there's different seasons.
Don't get that here.
We only have 2 seasons here, because we skip all the sucky ones.
Suck it, rest of the world.
Yeah, we everything's on fire around us, and the earth shakes.
Yeah, that's.
God help our souls.
God help our souls, regardless of if the earth shakes or not.
But yeah, what's the next?
So essentially, there were a lot of really cool things. So SakuraCon is kind of both an industry con and a community con, because there's a great community aspect to SakuraCon, but they also bring a ton of really, really cool industry So let me start again. So SakuraCon is basically a community convention and an industry convention. They bring a lot of really, really great international guests and US-based guests to the convention, but there's also a really big community aspect to that. There was a Rookies is Punked concert this past year, and that was a really cool concert. They came all the way from Japan. Shout out to them. But there's also a lot of really cool events, because they bring in panelists they bring in panelists who work professionally on anime in Japan, and also voice actors from your favorite cartoons and video games.
Anime is not cartoons. I joke. Okay, but
there are English voice actors who voice your favorite characters in English as well.
Mm-hmm. And that is one very cool thing. It's like because like as far as how the convention is laid out, it's actually laid out in a pretty well thought out manner where like you have your different interests and they're not all just smacked in like to one area. The exhibit hall exists in the very top, not the very very top, but like what is it in its own separate like room.
The exhibit hall has its own space, and it is in the middle of the skylight area, which is really cool. And above that is the gaming section, and then there's plenty of things on the lobby floor, all these things. So it's kind of like a fun maze to kind of get to the place you want to get to, because there's a different thing on each floor. It's kind of like Futaba's Palace in Persona 5. There's a straight way up, but you kind of have to go all around the other sections to.
Wait, she has a palace?
Spoiler.
I'm joking.
Erica,
P5 Royal is gonna be great.
Erica Linebeck and Erica Harlacher were at SakuraCon this past year, so shout out to Persona 5.
Which by the way, this it's only because like Erica Harlacher was I played this one game, INSANIME Files, that I am very 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 like adamant on promoting. Mm-hmm. It's if you played the 999 like Zero Escape series, it's Uchikoshi's new game that came out like a month ago. That it's really well done. And Erica did Aiba and the main character, one of the main characters there, and she did an amazing job. That whole English voice acting crew on that game was amazing. So like it's one of those things where you find voice actors that do great work on games. You can find them at SakuraCon, and like and other than that, like there's also like the nightlife is nice. They have a dance. They have all that over there. They have if you ever want to see some real like deep cuts from the community, there is the midnight cosplay chess. That like. If you show up there sober, you're missing half the fun. And then there's this, I don't know the mechanics of the game, but then they always end up like, it's just the circle of people outside of like, anybody that's listening to this, if they could explain to me what the hell this game does, like it's a big group of people and they're just kicking like aluminum cans and like bottles. It's like just random like recyclable things.
Oh yeah. It's like a kick a can circle with cosplayers, and they're also hugging.
Yeah, and then like you hug each other. Like if anyone could explain to me what this is,
Seattle natives help us out.
Yeah, because I have legitimately like stood there, watched, and like was like, what is going on? And people are like either really enjoying it or like they jump in like going like I want to be a part of the fun, and then they're horrified when like the bearded dude that like says where's my hug gives you a hug.
But you're happy to hug him because it's Seattle.
It's Seattle. You hug that dude.
Yeah.
If you don't hug that dude, you're a terrible person.
Shout out to all the dudes, everyone who was hugging in that circle. It was very nice and peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was wholesome, but at the same time, like it was an experience.
I mean, it's an anime convention, so everything is pretty much an experience. Yeah. So I have to throw that out there. Anime. Anime is an just anime, yeah.
When you take a niche cultural phenomenon as an anime and bring it to a Western audience and see how people react and grow up with it, that's what you get for the anime convention. You start. It's like it's its own sociological experiment. Really, really weird, but at the same time, super cool to see.
Speaking of that, the rave was held on the rave was held on 420.
Yeah, the sociological experiment that is an anime convention rave.
The rave was really cool. The rave had really great lights, really cool light displays. They had really good DJs, and it was actually a huge affair. Mm-hmm. It was actually well constructed. It was very beautiful to look at. Mm-hmm. But those weebs were going hard.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. It's one of those things where like because not many people know this, but like when it comes to like the idea of a anime convention dance, it wasn't like that widely like practiced like before 2010. Like
Oh,
so like as far as anything goes, like the first time I've seen this was like 2011, like Anime Expo. It was like when like Anime Expo turned 21 or something like that, and then like they opened the 21 and up lounge, and then they had a rave, and then like I'm not a big rave person. I love anime,
I
but
am.
but like in that moment, like in that like club when you had like weeb tastic dance mixes, like I've never been so like compelled to like move my body in the most uncoordinated way possible. So shout out to those weeb DJs that make those banging.
I have gone to about 30 conventions all over the country, and SoccerCon is definitely in the top 5 going the hardest of weeboos
Uh
for me.
yeah, for like that they go hard. I still say Katsucon's crazy. Um and Phantom is just a, but then I think that's just nightlife in general. But SoccerCon still has a bustling.
Those are all in my
Life.
top 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're all in my top 5.
there's that moment where you just like walk past the gazebo at Katsucon at like 7 o'clock in the morning. You see someone just sprawled out in the gazebo, and you're like,
Covered in beer bottles.
yeah, he's had a good time.
Having a good time.
But so there's a couple caveats with SoccerCon. Like I said before, it is on Easter weekend. What was it? So if you like yourself some Jesus and bunny with your cosplay, SoccerCon. But other than that, there is the possibility of rain. In the 2 times I've went to SoccerCon, 2017 and 2019, it's been beautiful wet weather. Hardly any rain. It only rained once, and that was like mid Saturday on like this year. But it is not uncommon for it to rain. So those are the two caveats that I could give maybe. But other than that, like if you want a good representation of like what a anime convention is supposed to feel like, was it SoccerCon deliver?
Definitely. So I'm going to do a couple of rapid fire recaps just for you guys at home. The weather for SoccerCon is sometimes rainy, but overall light jacket weather. So for merch, people from all over the country will come to it, but most likely people from mostly the West Coast will come. The best merchants from the West Coast, California, Oregon, and Washington will be selling merch there. There's some really great guests that were at SoccerCon last year, like Justin Briner, Ian Sinclair, Erica Lindbeck, Erica Harlicher, Ryukishi07, who is the author of Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, and Rookies is Punked played and the concert. Shinobu Ono is there, and Tony Oliver, Christina V, David Vincent, a bunch of really cool people. And for events, there is a maid cafe, there is cosplay chess, there is mahjong,
Yes.
and there. You love that. You were so happy. And then there is a huge, beautiful rave. There is a huge, beautiful concert. And there's a bunch of really fun things to do there. And there's a bunch of panels with voice actors and a masquerade ball.
And beautiful is completely subjective.
I think it's beautiful.
Kidding aside, shout out to Hermes, Richard Soji Beats, Zhaokao, and Inzoru. When we went and raged like hell at that dance, we were just like, you just saw how uncoordinated I am with my body. It's great. But other than that, when it comes to
That's fine. So SoccerCon, it's a cool con. And then we have about 5 minutes left if you want to talk about anything.
Okay, so as far as anything goes, the important thing about like if you are looking to go to an out-of-state con in general, whether it be SoccerCon, KatsuCon, if like there's also Colossal Con East, Whole Mat that's coming up soon, or that's um in general, it's one of those things where you have to budget out like for plane ticket, for room, and logistically, like the one of the things that people have an oversight is like logistics on how to get from the airport to your to the con or the hotel room. The first thing I talked about, like there's this whole thing about SoccerCon, is that there's a train that goes from the airport to downtown Seattle, and that's beautiful. Like I know like regular Colossal Con, when you land in like Sandusky, Ohio, it takes another 4 hours to get to the resort. So it's important to know what your logistics are for traveling to the cons. Another thing, if you're a cosplayer going to out of state con, it's one of those things where you have to know where to allocate your how your armor goes in your carry on, your luggage. I've seen people where they had their Warbler armor be actually delivered via FedEx and being held at a FedEx store, and or before they so they could get their cosplay safely there, and then like they have to do the whole process again. I think it's like $50 to ship like a cosplay or something. So that's another logistical thing. Um, if you're a photographer traveling, uh, caveats on that. You have like when you take your carry on, they are requiring you to like remove your lens from your camera body and do and checking. And like as far as anything goes, like if you can find a way to uh and I don't trust um putting your camera in your luggage. Always have it on your carry on. That's just me. That's my own paranoias, but I'd rather have it on my body, have it be at the will of
Very cool, very cool. Did you have a favorite Sakura Con memory?
my favorite one was first year that I went, 2017. I actually like was like this is like when I first started, so I was like on the Sakura Con like unofficial like group page on Facebook. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm a photographer from SoCal. I'm doing like $25 a shoot because I have no idea what I'm doing. I hope you like me. And then people were enthusiastic. They're like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I want to work with you. And then like they've not only have they became clients, but they lifelong friends. Where
Aw.
they was it shout out to Glenn, shout out to Diego, shout out to like was Andrew, everybody that I've met up there. It's been nothing but good times, and like it's one of those things where they're very responsive, and then like I remember specifically when me and Hermes went to a after party event, and then we were just hanging out doing beer and we were shooting B-roll for Hermes, and he was like breakdancing in the middle bar. It was really cool. But then like these two girls went up to us with, like in front of a ring light, and we're like, and they just took a selfie with me and Hermes out of nowhere. And then like was it? We're like, yeah, and like I had a couple drinks with me, Hermes had a couple drinks with me and him, and like we took the selfie and we sort of look at each other going like, is that your friend? No, is that what? Oh, oh shit, no, but yeah. Those were absolutely fun times.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. I hope you had fun at SakuraCon and also here. But this was SakuraCon, and this was our video. Oh my God, sorry. This was SakuraCon, and this is Should You Go To. Thank you so much. Okay, Ray, dance until we turn it off. I'm gonna tell Angela to stop.